Monster-in-law excludes my oldest so I exclude her, by user Fancy Atmosphere 221. I, 25F, married my husband James, 29M, 2 years ago. I have a daughter, 11F, Lily. Yes, I had a kid at 14. I don't regret having her, just the timing of it all, and I also have 2 twin girls, 8 months. Lily's father was never present in her life, so when James came around, I was honestly surprised the father role he took and how much Lily loved him. I knew after a year I wanted to spend the rest of my life with him. Around the time we were planning for the wedding, my mill kept make remarks about Lily not being James' child, but we brushed it off until my mill flat out told us she wouldn't be financing the wedding if Lily wasn't a guest. Mill also said because she wasn't his she'd never support Lily. We had no problems with Mill not paying for the wedding, we were just both taken aback she'd ever say anything like this. I obviously objected to that bewildering statement, and so did James. Mill tried to plead with James, and when he wouldn't budge, Mill stormed out of our house. Lily was our flower girl, and on the day of the wedding Mill tried to stop Lily 3 times, once by even blocking the path to the altar, but was easily stopped each time by other guests and the groomsmen. Besides that, our wedding went off without hitch, and I wouldn't have preferred it any other way. The wedding was magical beside the beast. After having my twins, Mill withdrew from Lily entirely. Lily, not understanding why, was obviously upset. Well, over the weekend Lily celebrated her 11th birthday, and per her request she wanted everyone to give a speech at her birthday. Everyone but Mill was included. Mill hates not being front and center always, so when everyone was done giving their speeches I turned around to see Mill and she was pissed. She later pulled me and James aside and asked why she wasn't included. I asked her what happened to never supporting Lily. After the party James asked why Mill wasn't included. I told him after the wedding fiasco and not giving Lily equal amount of time as she did the twins, she wasn't to be included in that portion of the party. James agrees with me, but Mill is still upset about the ordeal. I guess I won't be answering the work phone for at least 2 years, by user Jatoff my unicorn 70. I've worked in an office for almost 2 years now. I have a teammate with the same job title, but with a slightly different role. Let's refer to her as Lola. We essentially work together as a team, working on our separate tasks to complete shared projects. I answered a phone call at my desk a couple of months ago that was for her and went to verify the information to transfer the call to her. This is something the receptionist normally did, so I wasn't sure what her specific extension was. Here's how the conversation went down. OP, you have phone call. What is your extension? Lola, it's for me? That's weird. OP, why is that weird? Lola, it's usually for you, so I don't answer it. OP, what are you talking about? I really am stumped. Lola, when someone calls either of us, both our phones ring. It's usually not for me, so I don't answer it. OP, it's normally not for me either. I just take a message or get the call to the right person. As I'm trying to do now. Lola doesn't really have anything to say about that. I get her extension and then transfer the call to her. Back in my office, I'm kind of steaming. For almost 2 years, I have been taking every call and message when the receptionist is away. My teammate had been simply ignoring the phone that entire time, leaving all the effort to me. I looked at my phone and thought, I wish I could just unplug it. Then it occurred to me that the cord extended from a port on the floor and connected under my phone. The phone essentially sits on top of the cord with a gap space under the phone to accommodate the cord. So, I unplugged my phone and placed it on top of the cord so it simply looks as though it's plugged in. I have no idea who is answering the phone now when the receptionist is away from her desk, but I guarantee I won't plug in that phone again unless someone figures it out, and then I'll simply play dumb. I mean, who would do something like that on purpose? It's a small anarchy, but I'll take it. So you like to throw stones at passing cyclists? Prepare for the fright of your young life, by user Carnosaurus. Reposting this here because I wrongly posted it in /pettyrevenge and it got removed. This happened around 2010. I was cycling around Haringey, Green Lanes where I lived at the time. The area is gentrified now, but at the time it was considered to be a bit rough by London standards. Those familiar with the area know that there are narrow alleyways that connect up all the side roads, off of Green Lanes. So I'm cycling past one of these alleyways and see a group of rowdy kids messing around inside the alley. There are 4 of them, aged maybe 11 to 12 and making a lot of noise, as kids do. As I pass them, they go all quiet. Sensing that something is up, I shoot them a look over my shoulder and catch one of them throwing a stone at me, which bounces off my back. This is followed by an explosion of laughter and jeering. Now, I remember being a kid, and the lengths that kids go to entertain their friends. To be honest, I wasn't even that mad. But in that moment I decide to make this a teachable moment for the little bastard, and to make sure that he will never forget me. So I pretend to lose my mind. I toss my bike to the road, turn and sprint at them full speed, to quickly cover the 10 to 15 meters between us. At the same time, I scream in a pretend rage and wind my arm back, like I'm about to deliver a WWE haymaker and end a young life or two. They barely have time to register what's going on. 3 of them scatter like cockroaches, but the one who threw the stone freezes in his tracks. He kind of just collapses against a wall with his arms outstretched, babbling and begging for mercy. I put my face right next to his and whisper, "I'm only joking, kid." The kid blinks for a second, and then promptly starts to wail loudly, like he's carrying the burden of the world on his little shoulders. I walked away feeling like I had done the world a small service. What are your thoughts? Was this justified, or too much? Try to lecture me, get arrested, by user brutal beast. I'm not sure if this counts as petty or even revenge, since I've never met anyone so determined to dig themselves into a hole. It all started when I was picking up my daughter from school. I parked on the street with the driver's side of the car on the street side and the passenger side near the sidewalk. Important. The kid I was picking up has her car seat behind the driver's seat, so I had to stand in the street to buckle her in. Then I opened the driver's door, got in, and reached for the door to close it. I had almost closed it, it was only a little ajar, when a Honda Civic plowed into it so hard that the door sliced into the Civic's bumper. The other driver backed up until I could fully open my door again, and I saw the Civic was maybe 8 inches from my car. Who drives so close to parked cars? Usually, I would just exchange info and that would be it, but the guy gets out and has a huge attitude. He starts lecturing me, saying I need to look around before opening my door and that he had no time to react. LOL. If I had taken more time to get in, he would have hit me. He definitely could have avoided me. The street is not narrow and there is not even a sidewalk on the other side. Plenty of room. We start to exchange information and I think I smell alcohol on his breath. My husband soon arrives with our other daughter because I called and let him know what happened. The guy tries to give my husband the whole "women drivers, am I right" spiel, and my husband verbally tears him a new asshole. My husband confirms he also smelled alcohol, so we call the cops. The other guy is super for it. He wants the cops called and wants to talk to them. Cool. My girls are running around the schoolyard as each of us gives our statements. Mine is pretty cut and dry, so soon husband and I are just standing around while the cops talk to the driver of the Civic. Not long after, we overhear him fail the breathalyzer. So he gets arrested and I'm driving a rental until we see if my car can be fixed. Messed Up Bully's Life, by user Passion Munger. In Asia there's a concept of ragging in colleges. It's a form of hazing done by seniors on newcomers. People defend it by saying it's supposed to break the ice, but it's nothing but a form of humiliation and mental torture, if not physical. Laws are trying to clamp it down, but the practice is still so widespread it's pretty much expected once you enter college life. It happened to me in college, and of all things the most humiliating part was them forcing me to dance in a lewd way. Was over in seconds, but the memory was just burning in my head for days and I couldn't get rid of it. I already knew from my college's history that reporting to them directly doesn't do jack, though ragging is strictly banned. Well, the government had made portals and helpline to report these things. That resource seemed untapped to me, so I officially filed a complaint and did my best to move on with my life. 10 years later, yep, I came to know the police want to talk to me to close the case. I had forgotten about the whole thing, but now that something was happening I wasn't willing to just drop it. So they made it to an official charge against the 4 perps. Turns out the boys were all working abroad, so am I, and got scared out of their minds on realizing there's an official charge against them. Working abroad requires visas and all renewal forms have questions like "Have you ever been charged?" Doesn't matter if you were found innocent or guilty, you have to tick it yes. For countries with high immigration rates, that's a potential death sentence on your visas. Renewals can get rejected even if you have a solid explanation. One of the boys found and contacted me via social media begging me to take my complaint back. Offered me money. Too bad for him, I'm well to do. I informed this to the police in charge and he's in a deeper hole. As for me, seeing some semblance of justice was really cathartic and helped me actually heal instead of forgetting about it.